Hey, just so you know, halfway through the video drops out of the show. My apologies. Minor technical difficulty. Thank you for checking out the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of the universe, we're back. Episode 3, the show that no one asked for. The Jeff Hilliard Show. It's happening. Another episode of What the Fuck Is This? Well, it's part of my personal midlife crisis, and that's what we're doing here. We're doing the podcast, because that's what you do. You want to fit into the youth. You want to relate to young people when you're having your midlife crisis. It's very important. What do the youth do? They're extremely narcissistic. This is not normal for a lot of people my age. They constantly look at me, talk about myself, all that weird stuff. But that's the whole approach of my personal midlife crisis. Now, yours, we can fix it. We'll figure it out. Go to the Patreon, sign up. You got me once a month, helping you strategize and putting your midlife crisis together. I hope some of you are taking a break from the outrage media, the gaslighting, you've just accepted that it's a failed state we live in. My intern / aspiring producer / diversity hire, Jacob Greenberg, is here.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
It's good. See that? That's what happens when you hire diversity. You get people that have a lot of appreciation, that they're able to be part of, something. I do wish he was cross-eyed or wall-eyed. You might have heard the last show. I messed up the Topeka, Kansas, that people are also wall-eyed, where the one eye up in the sky, making sure if an alien abduction happens, they got it. They're not going to fucking miss that, and then they got an eye on you. Do we figure out, if they have a wall-eye, are they able to focus at two places at once? Because doesn't like a frog do that?
I'm going to look into this right now. This is what a producer does.
See, he's seen some videos. I have an audience here. I have a studio audience. Off camera, Daniel, my friend Daniel's here.
Hello.
So great. This is exciting. The show's really growing. I mean, it's really taken off. Really taken off. And I hope you guys are excited about what's going on in the world. Hopefully you're excited about the dystopian future that we're all getting into. Like what? No. I know that, am I red pilling, blue pilling, black pilling? There's a lot of pills. Am I just giving people an assortment of pills? No, I don't think there's any pills going on. I don't think you want to take any pills. I think you want to just get rid of the pills, unless part of a prop for a midlife crisis strategy is TikToks. You know those TikToks, little candies?
Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs, that's right. I'm thinking of the aspiring dance moves. That's the TikTok. But Tic Tacs, this is what you do, a prop you can have for your midlife crisis. One of the goals of being in a midlife crisis is it needs to be something that people are going to talk about. You want people talking about what's going on with you, because remember, you're irrelevant and you don't matter unless you're a victim. Get that in your head, figure out how you're a victim, and make it happen. Okay, so a trick you can do, it's good to have props, One of the props you can do is get pill bottles, fill them with Tic Tacs, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Tic Tacs. And anytime you're with somebody, just casually, you don't want to make a big deal because it's normal. Just take that thing out and just start dumping them in your mouth and just chew on them. Don't have any hey, I have a heart thing or whatever. Just say that it's an antipsychotic medication and don't worry about it. That right there, my friend, gets a good little fucking conversation going on. Because remember, if you want to survive, you better have some kind of victim situation going on. So if you're taking antipsychotic medications, or at least giving the impression that you are, that is a possible strategy for your particular midlife crisis. Now, this works if you've been a person who is like a stoic, like a responsible person that people look up to, like you're like a leader. If I'm doing that, no one's gonna think anything different. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, that makes sense." But if you're like one of life's winners, like you've taken your like let's say whatever brand of privilege you've had and you've succeeded with it, you were able to manage the, kept like the luxury car you were born with and you kept it really nice. Like I'm basically like in a Fiero trying to make it look like a Ferrari. I mean, no one's buying it. It's just a sad, you guys know what a Fiero is? It's an old shitty like sports car. And they used to have a kit that would turn it into a Ferrari. You have to research this, but it's fucking beautiful. This is how old I am. Now I have references that people don't even know. Jesus, that's a sad thing. You wake up, dude. Next thing you know, you see people in their 20s and they're old enough to be like my adult kid. I could be someone's grandparent right now. Holy shit, that's scary. If I was your granddad, oh, fuck. Sad. You're just like, that's what it's going to be like when I get older. Not good. It's a tough world out there, folks. Everyone's on meth. Everyone's on pain pills. Everyone's on heroin. All these homeless people are cooking meth in their tents. That's why you'll see, like, all of a sudden you'll see a fire where everything's scorched to the ground. They've all seen Breaking Bad. They're going to fucking have a come up. Because what else are you going to do right now? Sell drugs, folks. Get into the drug business. You got to learn how to make meth. That seems to be a complicated... I don't know how you do all that. You get it Sudafed or something. I know you probably are wondering... Like, if you're an adult and you're my age, you probably have, like, a 25-year-old living at home in the basement. And they probably have some Ivy League education. They probably get dressed up in black and they're going out over to a friend's house at night. That's not what they're doing. They're burning down your city is what they're doing. They want to live in Cuba in 1985 is what they're trying to... They're part of a revolution going on, which I respect whatever you're doing out there, the failed state of the United States of America. A show idea, I think I should just keep pitching show ideas on my podcast. I can pretend I'm an executive and I'm just pitching show ideas. This seems to be an obvious one. I don't know why this isn't going on or happening at the moment. But, it's like we do live in reality television. Donald Trump is our president. It's all about it. It's a reality show. Who's going to be the last one voted off the island? Is he going to leave the island? Probably not. Even if he gets voted off, he's not going to leave because he's a lifer. He's going to stay there for everyone. But we need to get him off. Yes, get off. But they need to have a show like kind of like a Big Brother. Like everything is just being monitored, like everyone's, we're seeing that, like we work for the NSA and we're into everyone's stuff. And they need to cast like all these different like groups. They need to have like, like your Proud Boy guy. You have like is it called the Boogaloos or I don't know, another radical group. You get like a Black Panther in there. You get some Antifa folks in there. Maybe get like an ISIS. Maybe get some guys like in a cover band, like a Color Me Bad cover band. Color Me Bad? What was that? That's another reference no one will get. Really terrible band. But just have a whole group of people that are so passionate about their thing that they can just have like, constant brawls, screaming and yelling. It's just like Twitter. And I figured out the whole Twitter thing. Twitter is basically when you've exhausted anyone that will listen to you anymore. You basically are just there now just tweeting like, because no one else is going to listen to it. That's what...
That's a good point, though.
Twitter
Your personal life is done.
Yeah, there's no one wants to hear about your political views.
Yeah.
This is the thing I'm trying to install in all you folks. I know how upset you are about things, but remember, you don't matter. No one cares about you. The people that are in power don't give a shit about you. We're completely expendable. Once you accept this, see, I was able to accept this as a young age because I knew I was, I failed first grade, second grade special ed. What was my future? I was destined to be a Walmart greeter if everything worked out. If everything worked out, I would have been at the Walmart going, "Hi, welcome here." That would have been like, do you remember Jeff from school? The kid that had the helmet and stuff. Look at him now. Yeah, that was. I've exceeded everyone's expectations, folks. I am kind of winning with my failure, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay. This is I'm trying to save the house of Hilliard, which looks like an eccentric elderly lady just went nuts in here with 10 different things of wallpaper. That's what's going on here at the house of Hilliard. We're trying to avoid this being on the street is what we're trying to do because the wallpaper is not going to travel well out there.
So it would be a hard show to take on the road.
Yeah, this is a hard show.
For sure.
Yeah.
By the way, it's called strabismus.
Yeah.
And your eyes do see two different things.
So you can focus on two things.
You can focus on two different things without moving your head. Yeah.
Oh, that's some advanced stuff. There's like an animal that does that, like a frog, I think, does that.
I don't doubt it.
Iguana, right? Doesn't iguana? Nice. You can focus on several. It's probably see these people are not represented in Hollywood. I would do a campaign. Why is there no one a wall-eyed person in this television show? Where's the cross-eyed person? You know what that is? That's called discrimination. That's called oppression. You're supposed to be inclusive? Are you fucking out of your mind? Where's the wall-eyed actors? Exactly. Fucking canceled. All of you are canceled. You know, also I don't see a lot of, every once in a while, but it's always like a negative character. Mullet discrimination. Where is your character that has a mullet in your show? There's not enough of them. It's very underrepresented. Mullet discrimination is real, folks. It's a real thing.
They're also never the lead.
Yeah, they're never the hero.
Yeah.
Maybe they're, except it happened, Mel Gibson kind of peaked, and ever since then, never again. I guess you can't. It's because of all the racist Jewish ranting. But the people weren't into that. It's not a good look. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is a very talented
hater.
Talented actor. Yeah, that was I think it was heavy drinking outburst. Hopefully people can forgive him. You know, people get nuts. You know, it's unforgivable. Any kind of discrimination. But back to the wall-eyed discrimination. Not okay. Not okay, folks. Not on my watch. What the hell's this guy that upset? You know, they also, how many albinos?
Powder.
Okay, yeah, but he wasn't even a real albino.
Was he not?
They didn't even cast a real albino. That was a guy with white makeup on. Yeah, where's that fucking outrage? I need to see albino actors in every single production. If not, you're fucking I mean, it's just terrible. I don't think I've ever in Hollywood driven down the street and seen an albino on a fucking movie poster, a billboard. I've had enough, folks. Cancel everything. Everything's canceled. They need to have a show. It's another show. I don't know why they don't have it. Here, let's do. I'm giving you gold, Hollywood. Why am I not an executive? I'm the rainmaker. I'd be the Aaron Spelling of terrible reality television. This is the next show. It's called Life, and they have a character. It's kind of like a clown. Maybe you have him as like, I don't know, maybe spray paint him to the point where he's really orange with some really white teeth. And then you have a show and he just goes like, they have to do all these exciting things. And if they can't achieve the thing in life, the guy just comes in there and goes, you're canceled.
Like what kind of things? That's genius, but what kind of things?
Well, they have to they're constantly in situations where they have to prove that they're not a racist. Which it's not possible because people are racist. You're just born racist. And I think it's great if they're like, it starts out when they're like maybe 3 or 4 years old. You have kids on there and you let them know that they're racist and they got to prove how they're not.
How do you prove it? It's hard.
I don't know, but everyone's racist. That's what's going on. And I'm in Hollywood, so everyone's a racist. No, everyone's a pedophile in Hollywood, but the rest of America, the flyover states, everyone's racist. That's what everyone's been reduced to. Hopefully we can evolve out of this where everyone is the outrage, the most negative, hurtful thing you could call somebody. I think there might be from the top down a polarizing situation. It's not good. It's just terrible. Some of you are probably asking yourself, you know, do I really need to have a midlife crisis? If you're a middle-aged person and you're like, do I really need to have one? Let me tell you something. You're already in it. Your life is already a disaster crisis. You're just not in on the obvious. You're not in on the secret, okay? Right now, you're outraged tweeting about something about abortion or something, it's one of those things where who needs to talk about their views on abortion? You know, most people are pro-indifference. They don't care unless you're pregnant, and they're going to have to try to talk you out of having it or whatever. You know, it depends on the situation here. I'm pro both. You know, I think abortion seems a lot of stuff, but then also I look at a lot of people and I don't think they should be procreating.
That's right.
So I do feel sympathy for an unborn baby that's trying to make their way. You know, they're going to be forced into this hell on earth situation. But I'm actually pro-abortion up to 3 years old. Because the kid could be like, you know, by the time they're 3, you know if they're going to be an asshole or not.
Yeah.
What happens if the kid is on the show and he is a racist?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to raise a racist. I don't have a 2.5-year-old racist on my hands. Abortion, abort, canceled. You know, you got to be able to fucking get rid of the 3. Because a lot of people probably had a kid that gets 2 years old. And they're like, we have a monster. This kid is terrible.
The parents know.
Yeah, and there's like, fuck, how can we get rid of this? Well, that's why abortion should be up to 3 years old. Should be. Wait a second.
One trimester up to.
Yeah. Goddamn abomination. So that's what my stance. I know that it's a scary time for women's rights and stuff because of that's a real serious issue. Where do you stand on that? And I also understand I understand both sides. You're supposed to understand all sides. So you have compassion. But I'm obviously not in a position that's making any decisions that really matter because I learned at a young age that my opinions don't matter, which is a good place to be for a lot of people. If you have ability, if you're being a parent, which is it's a great place for me to be because I don't have any kids, so I should be giving you advice on how to raise your kids, right? Makes sense to me. This guy has no qualification. Yeah, I have no bias. Let me tell you something. You want your kids to win in life? Let them know at a young age that they don't matter. No one cares about them. If everything works out, you might be able to become a mediocre person that blends into the crowd. If everything goes well. Most likely, it's not going to happen, okay? You're a loser. Now, if you let these kids know this at a really young age on a regular basis, if they are a winner, if they have potential, they will go, fuck you, and they will become extremely successful. Okay? That's Jeff Hilliard's Parenting 101. Maybe we'll be part of the Patreon. I can help raise your kids and by telling you how much of a loser you are for having them. If you're having a kid right now, what the hell's what kind of psychopath is having a kid right now? You know what I mean? People looking at me like, why don't you get married and have a kid? Because I'm not an asshole, okay? Because I'm not trying. The plan. It's over with. The Titanic is the ship is sinking. Why am I trying to give birth to a kid? Fucking hey, wake the fuck up out there. You're trying to pump loads into your wife right now. What delusion are you living in? If all goes well, you might make it through the depopulation situation, and you're in some bunker right now with a bunch of people you rather just at some point they just shoot you because you're so annoyed because you're living in Lord of the Flies in an underground bunker. That's if all goes well. Jesus Christ.
I love it. I love the energy today.
Turn it up like you're watching the news.
Turn it up. Just.
And then you come to this. You're like, wow, this is just like I could be a host on MSNBC, like right after Rachel Maddow, right? They could have me just screaming. This guys, just where did they get this person from? Which I feel a lot of the news programs are like. You go from Fox to they're just people like this. They have no idea what they're talking about. You can just lie and make stuff up, and they keep bringing you back. You're completely wrong about everything, and they bring you back. It's just. That's the world we live in, dude. You can, if you have, okay, let me give you a little secret. If there's someone in life that's really successful, they've been completely compromised. We learned this through the Jeffrey Epstein thing. They clearly have a situation where they are having sex with underage kids. Their whole life is a lie, and that's why they're in front of you on a television making a lot of money. Look at them for who the fuck they are. They're demons from hell, okay? Wow. Holy shit! Like, so that's terrible. I should say that because people would take me serious. That is the conspiracy world we live in now. If you're successful, you're clearly, you're in the back with a chainsaw, just murdering innocent people and eating them. Yeah, you're eating babies and wow, it's crazy. This is the one thing if you're into conspiracy theories, which I'm a fan of the absurdity of a conspiracy theory, but I'm also come and pull yourself back a little bit and realize where it's coming from. So all of the satanic, all that stuff, that is from a radical, extreme Christian lunacy. These people believe in, which is my favorite thing ever, the television evangelical, whatever the hell you call it. They have like the Christian Zionist movement, which is the largest lobbying group in Washington, D.C. And their goal is if they can move all the Jewish people back to Jerusalem so we can have a holy war because Jesus is going to come back and then 144,000 people are going to disappear to heaven. This is the largest lobbying. This is a world we're living in. This is magical fucking cuckoo fucking... What is going on, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Jesus ain't coming back, motherfucker. And if he was, why would he? Okay, let's get into aliens. Because Jesus actually was an alien.
Yeah, I heard that one.
What is this guy going on about?
Where does that come from?
Yeah, who knows? I got to get back into
Check the facts on that one.
There's underneath all these cities are underground bases where these gray aliens, and that's where the babies. You know where all these babies go missing? Where do you think they're going? They're being served to these reptile aliens that are living off the blood, where whatever you call it, the ronochrome or adrenochrome. They're harvesting their bloods. Yes, all of them, all those successful people are part human, part reptiles, which I actually kind of believe. David Icke might be right because people are crazy. David Icke. It's a good conspiracy.
Have you ever seen his hands?
Yeah, he's got arthritis.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. I don't hate him. He's entertaining.
Yeah.
They're all. I'm not a big. The Alex Jones was kind of. He's like the WWF of disinformation, like the professional wrestling. He's a conspiracy InfoWars guy that just kind of makes it really. I could basically do that, just screaming and yelling.
You almost just did that.
I'm kind of verging on that. If all goes well, I could become an intelligence. I could get hired by the intelligence community, and this show really takes off. And then I am telling you for sure that there's an alien. The aliens are getting ready to attack. But joking aside, folks, you know when the United States is getting ready to invade a country, they arm the population. They have them as radical groups. They deem them as terrorists. Donald Trump just passed a thing where Antifa, KKK, whatever else groups are terrorists. So just to beware that United States is preparing to invade the United States. Just so you know. Yeah, that's what's going on. And if you want to eat in the future, you want to have a place to sleep, you better join the military. Yeah, that's where you want to go. I mean, if you're into all that seems to be a lot. I don't think they're taking middle-aged people.
Cut off is like 35.
Yeah, they're gonna fucking make me cut the mullet like out of your fucking mind.
Yeah, you could do paramilitary.
Yeah, paramilitary. I'm gonna be an intelligence officer, just spinning disinformation on the nightly news. I'll be your host on the new news of the future. The mullet, like just moron that has no idea what he's talking about news program. I have women have asked, can I have a midlife crisis, and what does that look like? The answer is absolutely yes, and women do have a midlife crisis. It's a little bit different. If you were to read about a woman talking about their midlife crisis, they get into all this intellectual stuff about being overwhelmed with so much responsibility and da 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 da. This is the reality. You've been watching movies recently where women are empowered, and what are they doing? They're playing like terrible versions of men in movies. There you go. What do you want to do? So a midlife crisis for a woman is similar to the baby boomers' midlife crisis. So yes, do divorce your husband, do get a 20-year-old boyfriend, get a sports car. That totally works for women. It's a great way to go. I think it's also great, like you want to do something that no one saw coming. Get into, get an OnlyFans page. I mean, that is a huge window for a midlife crisis. That also works for a guy too. Like that's really going to make impact to your kids. If you have an OnlyFans page, is it because you maybe always wanted to be an adult film actor, but maybe you were thinking like, well, I'm fully erect. I'm only like 4 inches. How can I do that? That's okay. That's actually what they want now. You don't want to be attractive. You want to gain like 30, 40, 50 pounds with your small penis, and that is like your thing. That is your niche, is like the overweight guy with a small penis porn. I mean, this is your time. They've never, they want, everything that's like in the 90s when it was all about people being really attractive, that's not what we're going for now. Now it's about you need to be a victim. If it might even be advantageous, part of your thing, if you want to get into the porn thing, is maybe have a leg removed.
Yeah.
You know, because now you have your victim thing right there. The whole world has wronged you. You know, get your leg amputated, maybe get like a peg leg, like a pirate, maybe get a hook for a hand, gain about 50 pounds, get some like jewelry on your penis or something. Now you have a niche. It's all about being a very unique victim niche. If you're going to go the adult way as a guy, I'm a big fan of you getting a boob job. That already puts you into a great category of uniqueness. And that's where you want to be, folks. I think I talked about this in the past show. I want to go in all about like strategy and like how you can really maximize your midlife crisis. But if you are a guy and you're trying to figure out an exit strategy, you've worked, I don't know, I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but if you, let's say you've worked at a company for 30 years or whatever, or 20 years and you want out, you get the boob job, you go to work, and your friends, the people there are going to ridicule you. You have your camera set to video where you're capturing all of this, the audio and that, and they're going to make fun of you. Now you're being harassed for being a transgender. Lawsuit, my folks, exit strategy. Now you've retired 10 years earlier and you're loaded. Then you're going to go hang out in the women's locker room at a really nice health club. You're going to befriend, your life is exploding into fucking awesome. You're online talking about this. Your kids are like, they never want to talk to you again. Home run.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with like them wanting money and stuff from you because you're nuts. You're completely out of your mind. I don't know what happened to Dad. Everyone's talking about you. You're killing it. Absolutely killing it. That's a great strategy. Now, part of my own personal midlife crisis was to really just jump headfirst into the narcissism. And I've seen this before where a young person had done something, but it really wasn't that significant. And then now they're putting out a memoir. So I have not really ever achieved anything of any kind of major significance. I'd made some videos that some people have liked, you know. I've had a lot of positive feedback from that, but I've never like won like an Oscar or a Grammy or I wasn't like Winston Churchill where I've saved a country, you know. That's the kind of people you think you're putting out a memoir, someone who's really lived an important life. Well, part of narcissism and understanding that is to be at a place of like, I'm 48. This is kind of like an online memoir, because as a narcissist, you're under the self-delusion that everyone is so fascinated with whatever you're saying and doing. Because that's what this podcast is all about. Like, as if I'm just really just killing it in life. So I guess you got to go back early when you're doing your memoir. You just got to go your first memories. You got to get in there, you know. And earliest memories, if I go way back, that I went to a ski resort when I was 3 years old in the summer with my family. They took me there. I wasn't traveling alone at that age. I know a lot of people would think I was. I'm so independent, traveling alone as a 3-year-old. But no, actually, my family took me to Vail, Colorado. It was in the summertime. We were at a ski resort, and earliest memories. Following my older brother, and we were going into a place where they had like a hot tub and all this stuff, big window. And my brother, I guess he didn't realize that when the door shut, like it shut on me, and so I wasn't able to get in because you had to have like a key card or some kind of thing. So I'm sitting out there looking through, and at nighttime, you know, you're inside the place and you can't see outside, but when you're on the outside, you can see inside. So I'm out there just like trying to get, hey, like try to like get my family to see me. And so that's kind of summed up my entire existence, you know, just no one sees me. I'm someone that's not rememberable. I'm not getting, seen in life, kind of like you'd feel like if you're homeless. There's a lot of homeless people, they feel invisible. So that's why I have the mullet. That's why the House of Hilliard looks like some eccentric elderly lady just went apeshit at a Walmart store. Just out of the mind. Could you just notice this? So that is, you have to, part of the memoir is you have to dig deep. You got to get into the trauma. So that was an earliest memory ever. And on this trip, I also, not only did that happen, I also got lost another time. How the hell I didn't get abducted and ended up getting sacrificed or spent the rest of my life being, sold into whatever, wouldn't have been great. I mean, I wouldn't have been like Conan the Barbarian. It would have been some other sold into situation. Thank God I avoided that. So that was my earliest remembers. Now, folks, you got to get into the work and figure out every single microaggression that's happened to you, and you take people hostage and you make them hear about it, okay? You're taking people hostage and you're forcing your victimization stuff. Because you have to also remember, no one cares, folks. Just remember that no one, but you're going to make them care. You're going to force it on them. So,
without consent.
Yeah, well, you got to have consent, if you're going to mentally rape somebody. You don't want to, I spent most of my life being mentally raped, and I'll tell you what, there was no consent, okay?
Yeah.
I was not consenting to that. Yeah. So if you're going to be self-obsessed, folks, at least be interesting, okay? At least be kind of interesting, because most people that are self-obsessed, they have no sense of humor, and they're so fucking boring, okay? Please, all you people that are posting shit about what you're doing and stuff, and like, you're like, oh, look what I'm eating. Like, no one cares what you're eating. I don't understand where that be, how someone... But you know what? Take self-obsession away. Don't just take a picture of you eating it. Why don't you take it after you've dropped it in the toilet? Just a full... This is what it looked like at starting, and this is the end. Take self-obsession all the way. Yeah. That could be part of your midlife crisis. Just like documenting everything you eat, how it goes through your body, and how it exits, okay? You can actually show video of it exiting from your bottom. That could be part of your OnlyFans page. And it actually works if you're like a real big eater and you're very overweight and you're just like, I'm a foodie, and just make it into an art form. And how dare you judge me? It's really good. So yes, folks, we're taking it all the way back. So this kind of sets up the fact that there's definitely trauma. And I know I mentioned this on the first show. My mother did drop me so hard on my head that she thought that she killed me. I got a dent in my skull right here. I think it's where it's from. I have serious frontal lobe damage. Really terrible. Yeah, I remember the first day of school in kindergarten. My mother this is how, like, as a kid, I was desperate. You know what I mean? Desperate for connection. I remember asking my mother, I'll never forget this. She pulls up, and I'm a little bit scared about going in there, first day of school, kindergarten. And I asked my mother, I'm like, how do I make friends? And she's just like looking at me like, just doesn't know what to deal with this. I'm complete sugar addict, maniac. And I go, what do? Just ask someone. I just go up to and ask someone if they'll be my friend. And she just laughed. So there was another kid. His name was Jeff. So I figured that's a good thing. We both have the same name. I went up to him and asked me to be my friend. Like that's where I was coming from, folks. When you've come out of purgatory, hellscape, when you've had serious frontal lobe damage, I actually glossed all over before I even got to school. I forgot about the first suicide attempt. At 3, I was fully addicted to sugar. How you forget about these things? I was so addicted to sugar. I was a fucking maniac. That's what life is about. Either laugh or you cry, folks. It's a lot of both. Yeah, I was a maniac. As a little kid, it was like getting grandmother's cookies. You know, it was like Operation Get Grandmother's Cookies, just avoiding everyone to get in there, sneaking in. I could have been a CIA agent or an Indian. They were like, you don't hear Indians come up behind you. Apparently, I remember learning as a kid. That's in all the movies with cowboys and Indians. So I got really good at being quiet, getting in there, stealing cookies. And then and I evolved into, I'd be at the grocery store with my mother, and I would ditch my mother. And there was like they had this like Russell Stover's was a candy thing that they'd have an outside display. And it was kind of like liquor where they've done like subliminal, come here kids, like the Willy Wonka factory or whatever. They make it really sexy for a kid. So I would ditch my mother. I'd get over there. I would take the candy, shove it in my pockets, and then eat it in my mouth like this. And I remember a lady was like, saw me, and she'd probably like, why is this kid unattended? And I just remember having my mouth still, like I just can't, she can't see that I'm chewing on this candy, And And then I learned how to throw a temper tantrum if your mother wasn't going to buy the candy. I learned that game. But I was a criminal as a child. I was an addict. I was a fiend, stealing, shoplifting as a 3-year-old. And so there one day I was fiending for the. I was in the house. I had this one time I took like a Coke. My father was a fantastic, successful alcoholic drinker, and they smoked cigarettes. I remember I took a Coca-Cola from the night before. This is how desperate I was for the sugar. And I remember I drank it, and there was a cigarette ash in there. It was a rough day as a child.
I did that as a 30-year-old.
I've done that many times. Oh man! So what I did, I probably had enough of life at 3, and I got up on the counter and I found some pills. I thought they probably had sugar in it, and I just went for it. My mother found me, had take me to the hospital. I just remember, when I died, there wasn't no angels come this way. It was just black. It was like this was a mistake. How did this guy get here? And then they pumped my stomach. They rammed something down my throat. And I came back, and that was my first suicide attempt.
That's too good.
Jesus, that's a lot to take in. Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Well, earliest memories, man. We went way back.
Yeah.
Way back. Sugar
more to
addiction, kindergarten. Oh, this is where I made a really bad decision, folks. Really bad decision. I had a choice to either go to public school or Catholic school. Wow. I was thinking like God, holy. I was kind of thought that was a good thing. And so I was like, well, my brother went to public school. I have an older brother. So, of course, I don't want to, whatever he's doing, I'm going to do the opposite, He was a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I became a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, just because they were rivalries and that was the only game on the TV, whatever, when you're a kid. Whatever. No one cares. So now I'm at Catholic school. Big mistake, folks. Wow. First grade teacher, that's the one that's from that's the hardcore one. That one's straight, probably part reptilian, alien, they're eating kids and stuff. Just scary lady. So my first memory of school was on recess on the playground. They'd have like 1 through 6, so you'd be out there with the older kids, and you're like the fresh meat, being a first grader. So they got me to get on the teeter-totter because I'm an easy mark because people figure out, because first of all, with the frontal lobe, the frontal lobe damage, and the fact that I've already tried to kill myself, I'm already kind of dead on the inside. I'm an easy mark. I'm not. They realize that light's not in. It's not going on in my head. This kid's not that bright. They know immediately, like, I'm an easy mark. So they get me on the teeter-totter. And so what the older kids would do is they get you on there, and then they just start banging it when you're on the top of it. And I'm holding on for dear life. And I remember I made eyes with the teacher. Like, I'm under the false impression that an older person is supposed to help you, is supposed to be a protector, is supposed to, like, somehow, like, save you if you're in danger, or at least give the impression that they're concerned. But she looked at me and this, kind of like a smirk. And I remember I was holding on for dear life, and I'm flying. I'm trying to. I realized I couldn't have been a rodeo guy, because I didn't last 8 seconds. I was maybe 3 seconds. I get thrown off. I land on my back. Bam! Knocked the air out of me. At that age, I hadn't had the air knocked out of me like that. That hurt really bad.
Scary.
Yeah. So I have tears in my eyes. I'm crying. She comes over, gets upset with me, and then puts me in timeout. Like, this is welcome to first grade, bitch. Like, this is like basically day 1 prison. Like, you just got raped. You know what I mean? Like, welcome. So I'm like, this lady's scary. This is legit frightening. These people are not fucking around here. So I was terrified of this lady, and my brain didn't really work like the rest of the kids. I remember we had an assignment where it was like you had like a word, and then you had to connect it with like the meaning of it. And I remember my logic was, if it was a long word, then whatever the longest line was, that's where it went. So I failing miserably in school. We had another episode where the teacher had us make a drawing of something that God created. So everyone's making like a tree, a plant, the mountains. And this one kid made like a table with a telephone on it. And I'm not that sharp, but I asked her, I'm like, did God make that? Wouldn't man made that? And I remember her just looked at me like so upset. And she's like, God made everything, you know? And I was like trying to process how God made everything. And then years later, that movie came out, Naked Gun, I think it was. There's a scene in there where the guy, they've taken like a jackhammer and they put a dildo on the end of it. I just remember thinking, God made that. She told me God made everything.
Yeah.
God made everything. So I was terrified of this lady. This lady was like hell on earth. Plus you're dealing with the Catholic thing. We talked about this. You're in there. This is God. This is Jesus. He loves you. You know, and this is what they did to his only son. They crucified him. Good luck, kid. Good luck getting through life. This is God's son. They nailed him to a cross for you, for your sins. You're born a sinner. Come into the confession booth and tell us how bad you are. Jesus Christ, what is going on? So yeah, if you survive Catholicism, I know that you can give people that are Catholic a bad rap, but they've already been to the horror show. They've already learned that it's all smoke and mirrors. It's like you've gone to the fun house where it's like a Halloween horror show. You get through that, and then you're going to be able to get through life because you've already heard all the craziest stories, seen it all. So I remember my mother, who was convinced I had a chemical imbalance, she came to pick me up to take me to the doctor to see what the hell's wrong with this kid. And I remember I had to ask the teacher. I forgot to tell her. I was terrified of this lady. My mother was there to pick me up. I remember I went over there, and she was like on the swings with other people. And I remember I was so terrified of her. I think also because of the frontal lobe damage and the trauma, I would stutter. And so I was telling her and I'm so scared that I'm stuttering to her. And then she mimicked me, back to me. This is
brutal.
Yeah, this is how you become this wonderful. You have to overcome some experiences. And I know some people's lives experience are way worse than mine. I'm just dealing with the privilege I was given, and I'm going with it. So this was like, that was first grade. And then
She was a nun?
Yeah, of course. Well, no, actually she wasn't even a nun. She was the manager of the nuns. She probably ran some torture chamber under the church. I don't even know.
Club,
yeah, an S&M club at night under the church. They're probably doing black masses that she was kind of like the high priestess of. I don't know. She was legit scary. You know what's funny was I was a really good looking kid, adorable. Didn't get molested.
Really?
By the priest.
But other people.
Older kid, touched me because I was cute. Man, I don't blame him, but
It happens.
What are you gonna do?
Just play along.
Yeah, it's why I wouldn't even know what the hell's going on. Yeah. So that, I'm a sugar addicted maniac. I got frontal lobe damage, but the fear of God's been placed into me. Now I have successfully failed first grade. I mean, that's a fucking thing I've been holding on for years that I mean, that's pretty impressive. Not to show off, but I did talk about, I am legit special. Yeah. Special needs, motherfucker. So that's what I got. When I got into first grade, then I made it into second grade. I had to repeat it. I had to go to a new school. Went to the public school with all the wonderful riffraff, and then I got to second grade, and I wasn't really cutting it. They figured my brain wasn't working, so they put me in the special needs class, and I dominated. I was dominating. Like, it was great because they had like the books and stuff were like really colorful, like cartoon type things and comic books and all this stuff. It was awesome. I dominated, did that for a while. And I you know what? I really fucked up. I did so well that they put me back in general population. I had a moment. I had a good run though. A really good run.
Got an A.
Yeah, I probably dominated where I should have been. Got to lower the bar. That's the problem. Lower it. So after that, I learned to survive. That's when school became performance art. I learned as a kid my way I could survive is because I couldn't understand what everyone else was figuring out. So it just became making my friends laugh, getting them in trouble for laughing. I watched Saturday Night Live. Eddie Murphy was a hero. It was fucking great. I'd try to stay up late if I could to see Saturday Night Live. It all just became about playing characters. And that's how you do it, folks. So I can help you with your skill. Because some people, you probably you were a straight A student. You were told you had a great future. You did everything you were supposed to, and it didn't turn out so well. So now you're going to come to a professional fool, a person who's, because of, a lot of some frontal lobe damage, failed suicide attempt, a lot of stuff. I'll help guide you to the perfect midlife crisis, because you have to understand, my entire life has been in a state of crisis. I'm a master. I'm a master at this. How long have we been going?
Well, does it matter? But the 47 minutes.
Okay.
But I think it's beautiful. Take all that pain and.
Yeah. What are you going to take a lemon? You're going to make some lemon meringue pie.
Yeah.
With some lemonade and some all sorts of stuff. I mean, what are you going to do, folks? What are you going to do?
People aren't used to failing, and then you.
Yeah, and now I'm all about doing success. I'm all about doing a lot of success. What's that guy Gary V? What's like the self-help lunatics?
There's so many of them.
They're so full of shit. Just come up with just take it. Well, I'm gonna become very wealthy, and I'm gonna hopefully do this before the end of the world. And you guys are along for the ride. Because I already talked about this. I'm gonna have the amazing entourage. I'm gonna get a Pope mobile. It's going to become solid gold, bedazzled. I'll be, the Pope mobile where I'm sitting inside with a big lighted thing. I'll have like music. I can play music while everyone is like stuck. Sadly, they're homeless. They're professional campers. Everything is like there's like a small percentage of people like these tech giants that are they're trillionaires, and everyone else is just like zombies trying to get food. And then I'll be driving through there with like an armored Pope mobile with like, your special Blackwater, whatever the hell you call forces. I'll have my I want to have like Gaddafi, because Gaddafi did it well. The outfits he had.
He have like a stick, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff. He would try to become like the king of Africa. And then I like the fact that he had like a woman army force, which I'm all about. I would have women, military, like really cool outfits. But I'm also a big fan of the transgenders. I'd like to, a lot of them would be, actually I think it might just have a transgendered protective force around me, because that's like those people have like I've overcome a little bit, but the people who've overcome the most these are warriors. These are the baddest people on the planet. So if you've like think of like Caitlyn Jenner. This was like an Olympic athlete, like the greatest athlete ever. Mm-hmm. Now he's transitioned into a woman. He was like cover of Women of the Year. I think he should be the first female president. I think it would be great.
Yeah.
I just remember that when there was a thing where he came back from like the Trump rally. I told this to a friend of mine who works on a radio station, and then they ended up, he hosts a different show, but then the morning radio, I told him this, and he ended up, I listened to it, and they repeated back my insight. I was thinking like, it was so crazy because Trump was, I think he had just won the presidency. I can't remember. She got off a plane or something. She was at the Trump inauguration or whatever. And I thought, how amazing would it be if you came from Back to the Future. You went to the future, like when in the movie where you went to the future and you're like, and someone's like, Donald Trump became president. Like, you're like, first like, who's Caitlyn Jenner? Like, well, oh shit. Do you remember Bruce Jenner? Well, Bruce Jenner transitioned into, and you're trying to explain that, and then you're like, oh, I got to tell him about he's a reality star. And then you're like, oh, you remember O.J. Simpson? O.J. Simpson murdered his wife, and then like he was a big court thing that dominated the news forever, and then like he got off, and then like the attorney Kardashian, his daughter, his wife, Chris, I think she might have had one of her kids, might be one of O.J.'s kids, possibly, and then now. Anyway, this thing became a reality star. Do you remember Paris Hilton? Holy shit. Okay, the Hilton family. Well, then they have a daughter, Paris Hilton, and then she had a reality show. What's a reality show? It's like this make-believe thing. It's supposed to be real, but it's not. And then it's just like, It's like if Andy Kaufman was doing television but pretend it's real. It's just this whole circus. And then, so Bruce Jenner became a woman, and Donald Trump became a reality star. He had a show, and he would just tell people they're fired, and he's not a president. And then the Kim Kardashian, you have to explain that phenomenon. You get the Kanye thing in there. I mean, how crazy. That's why I'm telling you, you can't even predict this computer simulation like 2 years from now. I'm telling you, Ghislaine, whatever her name, Maxwell, is going to have a show called Who Wants to Be a Model. It's going to happen. She might even be VP. She might be Caitlyn Jenner and Maxwell. Yeah. Crazier things have happened.
Honestly, they have.
Yeah. I mean, I did like that we talked about where like the next president should be transgendered, both the wife, the first lady, and the president.
With transgendered children.
Well, that's
these days.
Yeah, that's God, and the dog should be transgendered too.
Yeah, or non-identified, non-binary.
I like the dog switching the gender though. I mean, that's kind of great. I could have the dog transition. Everyone's transitioned. I mean, look, I would get a boob job. I'm thinking about it if I had the resources to get my acting career really taking it off. Because I commit. I go all in.
You do.
You know, I did my song "Balls" is a transvestite hooker. That's that song I did. It's a great music video song. That was a long time ago, which I had a lot of respect for. When I first moved to Los Angeles, there was a bar, right? I live in Hollywood, and there was a bar, and they would let me in there for free because I was a neighbor. And I remember they have a night, and they'd have like 2 transvestites in there that are like just immaculate, like couldn't be more. And then Ricky Rathman used to have a night there. I remember, and Marilyn Manson came in, and he sat down next to me, and I was working at the Sports Club LA as a personal trainer. It's a whole story I'll get into. I know one of the Patreon asked me to talk about that. I'll go through that whole story, part of the memoirs, and that was a funny moment because I told him, he sat next to me, and I call these Hollywood moments. You know, I wanted to make a moment. So I took out my business card of being a personal trainer at the Sports Club, and I put it in front of him, and I go, I think I could really help enhance your stage performance. He thought that was funny. He said he was going to call me and prank me, which he did years later. He did prank me, which was funny. But I just remembered that. That was crazy. But like, because that was kind of funny at the time because I had done 2 albums, and he was like, this guy doesn't need really any help enhancing his performance. It's already maximized crazy. Yeah. I almost forgot. Folks, if you want a mullet and you live in the Los Angeles area, my mullet, as you can see if you're watching this on the camera here, you can see it's pretty spectacular. My friend Cole, he works at the Proper Barber Shop here in Los Angeles on 3rd Street. I highly recommend if you could get a great haircut. They're amazing. If you want to get, he can do any type of hairstyle. But if you're looking to get this particular mullet, that's where you want to go. And if you're just listening to this, if you know what I look like, which I would imagine you probably do if you're listening to my podcast, the mullet I have is kind of like the Brian Bosworth. It works because I have a receding hairline, a little bit's missing on the top. That's why this thing works, because it's just like, it's such a sad, desperate cry, It's not even like it's barely hanging on.
It's hanging right in the back, though.
Yeah, in the back. It is, wow, it's gotten really good.
It's perfect.
It's really, I mean, I feel like I'm cheating in life. I look at people that have bare necks, and I feel sympathy for them. You've really missed out on you should, especially during this quarantine, you should have a mullet. You should definitely have a mullet. I'm telling you, folks, I've said this many times. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Once you accept that everyone is trying to destroy you and trying to kill you, your government doesn't care about you, everything it's doing is trying to destroy your life. Once you accept that, you can get an Oculus, you can get trip.com, TRIPPP, 2 Ps. And then you're going to be able to do their meditation VR video game experience. And what that's going to help you do, it's going to help you get some clarity. It's going to help you get to a place of calm so you won't have to take the bait anymore. And you'll see that everyone is, is an illusion, and they are a nightmare trying to hustle you. Now, you're probably like, how would I know this? I'm a fool. Exactly. I've been hustled by everybody. I've been taken around the block. I've been bent over. I've been beat. I've been it all, folks. I've been duped by all of them. My whole life is being bamboozled. But once you've been bamboozled so many times, remember George Bush had that thing where he was like, "You fooled me once, fooled me again, and then something, God, if Biden could get a jazz band, Biden needs a jazz band. He needs to go on tour, just telling stories, just riffing, not even making any sense."
I watched that video, by the way, that
Right?
you talked about last episode, the corn pop. It made
So
absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
right now, picture him with a jazz band behind him.
Yeah. It's like, what do you call it? SCAD?
Yeah. What it does, folks, it's like a performance art that becomes so beautiful.
I saw it.
Yeah. And I hope if he wins, I hope that someone on his campaign gets the memo, jazz band, all of his press conferences. It's you know what I mean? That's where it needs to happen. And then I imagine Trump will get his own news show and then just go on. I don't the whole like he's not going to leave. I think if he could leave and then say that he was a victim and robbed, because reality probably hates being president, you know, because it's just I'm sure he likes the power, but I'm sure he probably would rather just focus on his stand-up career.
Yeah.
That's what his rallies are, just his stand-up career. He's got that thing dialed in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's scary. It's really scary. I don't know, like all these people. Please don't burn down the cities, folks. You gotta, after all this, get some clarity. You gotta still live there, because when you're burning down the cities, you're burning down people's livelihoods and stuff. And it was weird that NPR had a thing where it was talking about how it's okay to loot and burn stuff down because of, I didn't understand the whole argument.
NPR said this?
Yeah, there was someone that wrote an article talking about that's okay, that if people lose their stuff because of this movement or what's going on. I'm just saying, if you live in Los Angeles, there is an NPR, and 100% you need to go there and loot it and burn it down because they want you to. And then you can be like, hey, it's part of this rioting. We need to burn down your... So definitely go burn down the NPR. Like, I don't know why you would encourage that. I mean, that's kind of terrible. I know. I get that. I think they got to get more creative ways of. We got to come up with. I'll think about this. I'll come up with some creative ways to do the protesting. I think if you approach it with satire, does way more damage. I think that would be good. If you could, humor and satire would be really good as far as the protesting thing goes. There's a group called I can't remember. They're in San Francisco, but they're the people that kind of created Burning Man, and they would I can't remember what it's called. Oh, my brain. That's what happens. You have so much frontal lobe damage. But they would do like really funny things. Like one of the things, they would get dressed in salmon costumes, and then they would go to a marathon and then go against the stream. That's the kind of stuff we need to do in these protests, folks. It needs to get really absurd. I definitely think that people need to, if you're going to these things, you need to give sexual favors to minorities. The BLM people. That's going to end sexual healing is what this world needs. I'm getting tired of hearing myself talk. It's not this narcissistic thing is exhausting. It is fucking exhausting. I can't even look at this. I can't even watch this after it's done. I'm so over it. I'm so over it after I said it. I've been over myself since the beginning. 3 years old.
Yeah.
3 years old, the guy tried to take himself out at 3.
It's a struggle to keep you alive.
I'm a suicide survivor. And you need to have that in your film production. If you don't have at least one suicide survivor, you don't have a guy with a mullet, you don't have a guy with, you're canceled. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. You guys are great. I really appreciate all of the messages that people have sent me, that you're into hearing all this nonsense. I hope I'm helping distract you from the hellscape you might be in. It's good. The comments, that's great. Go and rate it on the podcast, rate, review. Send me the messages. That's nice, but do it so on the YouTube and all that stuff. It helps with the something rhythm, agro rhythm, or whatever they call. I don't even know how to. This is the one thing.
Alka.
I went through. I'll get into this. I went through a really traumatic situation, which makes it so I can't pronounce certain words.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's part of the trauma. I have PTSD, real diagnosed, and part of it is it affects your frontal lobe. Unless I'm doing an acting gig, I can train and learn the word and then nail it. But just randomly riffing, I'm not able to pull out certain words. That's what you're dealing with, folks. So when you're coming at me to criticize me, you're punching down. You just been canceled. That's it. That's
Beautiful.
the show.
That was good.
You just been canceled.
Say it one more time louder.
You've just been canceled. 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 That's the show. Come on, you're canceled.